How the heck are you guys? I am Fastidious. You can call me Fasty. And this over here is the fantastic Ronnie. I've known Ronnie for a long time in a couple games, but in Etheria Restart, we have a true PvP master, an RTE king. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me, Fasty.
It's a pleasure having you here. And today, as you guys might have guessed from the intro I gave you, we are talking PvP now, aren't we?
We definitely are. Let's prep for it.
And guys, Ronnie is nice enough to come over here, help me out, give us all a lot of wisdom, but it's not just because he's a nice guy. He's legitimately one of the top RTA players in the whole game. Go check out the channel here. How high did you rank last season in RTA?
Last season, I just played until Mythic and stopped there. And this season, I'm currently always hovering around the top 20, top 30 at the moment.
Top 20, top 30. You are a spender, but compared to those other guys around you, you're nothing. And so the fact that you're hanging there is unbelievable. Go check out this channel. So basically, we talked about this a lot off camera, but to catch the viewer up, especially if you're new here, and if you are new here, please do make sure to subscribe to my channel. And if you want premium arena advice, PvP advice, anything United Front, immediately go check out Ronnie's channel right now. That will be linked below in the description in the top and comment. But basically, I've been slowly free to play, trying to min-max, but at my own pace, progressing through this game. I'll give people a little show here. Most things on Threshold on Inferno, getting there slowly. I've got half of the better Grim Pursuits here on Inferno. We're getting there step by step, but I have not prioritized Arena. I have not prioritized it for a couple reasons. The heroes I've pulled, the anima I've pulled, and then certainly just being a free-to-play, you know, it's not the most friendly mode, but I'm ready. I think today I would like to have you join me, my friends, so we can kind of make a plan. Who should I be 6-starring to take that next step? Who should I be investing my lattices in? I have a lot of lattices saved up. And what kind of direction do I want to take this account through a PvP lens? So when I say that, and then I want to hand it back to you, but just so you guys, the viewers, can think, how can I adjust this to my own account? You kind of, especially as you're getting started, you're not going to be building a cleave team and a stall counterattack team and a bruiser team. You know, you're going to have to choose your own adventure at the beginning, wouldn't you say? So I think we can maybe take a peek at what I've already got here, what I have built, what I don't have built. I'll show you the resources, and maybe we make a plan here on this account that then you guys, the viewers, can learn from and maybe make a specific plan to accommodate your account and lead to a lot of success there. Sound good?
Sounds like a plan. Let's get into it.
So where do you think we should begin? Should we just go into the Animus? Is there anything you're curious about here?
Yeah, let's go first into the Animus, see where you're at in terms of leveling some of the key units, and then we can see what we should prioritize depending on what content you need to beat as well.
Okay, so you can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 6-stars. Exactly 8 6-stars, or did I did Ling Luo? Okay, 9 6-stars. So we have 9 6-stars right now. These 3 are very, very recent. I had only 6 forever. This past weekend, I finally started doing stuff. I had a video talking about all the resources I had hoarded. If I show you guys here, you can see I still have enough of just red Shadow Prince to make another 6-star, and I actually have 41 of these. So that's like another, what does that come out to? At least 2 more 6-stars from that. So including everything, it's a minimum of 3 more 6-stars I can make. Frankly, it could be more like 4 or 5 if I start crafting all this stuff. I did farm a lot of investigation stuff over the weekend. I farmed up a good amount of prowess stuff. Unfortunately, I was away the whole weekend at a bachelor party. I was not able to do a lot of threshold farming as I anticipated, so that will be delayed. Maybe we'll talk about it later on in the video, but that's kind of where we stand right now. I did level these 3 with the hope they would help me not just in PvE, but also PvP. So what are you thinking, my friend?
What's your team for Doki Doki, first and foremost?
Sure, let me head in here and show you. Yeah, I wish the farm was more consistent. That's my goal for this week, is to keep tweaking. I've been farming up a bunch more shells and stuff, but yeah, you can see here, this is my Doki team. Basically very fast Kazuyo, then these guys all go and wake up, and then we go in and we kill. Slight overkill on the first wave, and by slight, I mean a ton with Rosa here, but I still can't get unfortunately, my real Mocha strong enough just yet. She leaves like 2% health on one of these guys every time on the first wave, so we're bringing Rosa here for a little crit rate boost and some extra damage with that revelation. But yeah, there's too much freaking RNG, and it drives me crazy. But at least we're getting it done.
Okay, so first up, if you cannot one-tap with your real Mocha, I think you definitely, if you run a real Mocha team, you preferably only have her as your single DPS, and then you just go from there. And what's the count looking like on her? Blade of Hollow overclocking. Yeah, I'd say you're just trying to get her to be enough, so you have a very solid, very fast Doki Doki team. And then once you have a lot of speed gear, you can focus on some of the other harder content way easier, and then progress from there. And then you're gonna look into building the rosters for some of the other teams for the shells. I've seen you have the Shadow Zanya as well.
Yeah.
So for the shells, most of them you can just run a Shadow Zanya Fangus Obel team. That is gonna be one. But for that, we would need to have some skill ups in your Fangus, and I'm not sure how you're looking like on that note at the moment.
I have his S1 maxed out and his S2 maxed out.
Yeah, that's gonna be fine for the dot team. You're farming Nikonana Inferno, right? As you said, you're farming
Nikonana and Shadow Flame
and Hoyan.
Yeah. But not Sharon.
Yeah,
I
that's
can't
good.
do Rango. I've tried Rango with Vice to no avail. He hits so hard.
Yeah, for Rango, there's a few new strats coming out now, more and more, but they also require good gear. And for Rango and especially Aurora, we already talked about this a bit off screen, is going to be a unit that is going to be very, very good, especially in terms of early Aurora farming, is going to be the Viper, as you're not going to be able to burst Aurora down, and you would rather have a bit of a slow run, but at least be able to do it. Sure. And the Viper is going to be amazing for that.
So you think he's a must 6-star unit right now?
Do you have anyone else on your teams that you think you need to 6-star for PvE purposes, first and foremost?
In terms of urgency, well, now that I finally did Lingluo, that helps a ton. We'll talk about prowess as well and skill ups. I do have, just to show the viewer quickly, I do have a decent bit. I still have 12, even after investing some of them. But yeah, I think the other ones that come to mind would be Fushu. I think could give me a lot of carry. No other huge ones that I'm dying to do for PvE purposes. I've units I want to build for PvP, but I think I can go pretty far, especially if I 6-starred Fushu. You
can actually play with the Viper on 5-star. At least that's how I farmed Aurora for a long time, having the Viper on 5 stars. That said, on 6 stars it's just easier to build him, and you're not really gonna have any downsides of ever Viper 6-starring, because he's gonna farm up to level 50 through passive farming, and on top of it, is going to be very good for PvP purposes as well.
So just to zoom out, like what I was thinking is I have an idea of the kind of team I think I should build, but I wanted to get your input, and then it was kind of how to prioritize the order in which to invest in them, when to use the lattices, because I think that's something a lot of players struggle with, a lot of the viewers probably struggle with, and then how to prioritize farming up. You know, you say stuff like make it so you can solo farm with Real Mocha, but that is easier said than done. You know, it's not like it's a poor build. So 55% plus crit rate, so with Rosa plus this and that. Obviously, it'd be great if she could just do it all herself, but, you know, gear is a tough thing. And you mentioned the count. I would love to be able to farm like a nice 3-slot count, but then, you know, I think just to talk people through the mental exercise, it's like, well, then I have to beat Rango, and then you work backwards from there. How do I beat that? I got to beat this and this and this. So it's kind of how do you directionally set out to do that kind of farming? Because you kind of have to reverse engineer it, right? Well, what do I have to beat to be able to beat this? And what do I have to beat to be able to beat that? And so on, right?
I mean, about the count, I don't know. I can share the screen with you for a sec, actually.
So you sent me the screenshot of the shell on your Yelly. You, of course, have Revelation. What did you want to share about this?
This is the shell. As you can see, only 2 substats as well. And I farmed this on Shadow Hoyam before I was able to farm Inferno. And get as strong Revelation as possible for back when I was doing solo DPS Messiah for Doki Doki, for him to be able to farm Inferno Doki Doki. And you can't just Inferno everything first, but I'd recommend heavily first get a very strong shell, and then you kind of have a chain reaction. After I had this going, I was able to clear Doki Doki, get the speed ready for stuff like Aurora. And then when I was able to farm the Aurora, and farming Doki Doki, I had the speed for the other Inferno shells, and also after farming a lot of Aurora, I was able to have the bloodbath sets to farm the Rengokutsu, and it snowballs from there and there on.
Yeah, I think that's a natural just way to approach it. It's like, well, I need this to be able to do this, to be able to do this, to be able to do this. Definitely helps having the Messiah or the Yeli, which not every viewer may have. I'm lucky enough to have recently pulled Messiah about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago at this point. But is this your way of saying specifically in this case to pivot away from Real Mocha?
No, this is me saying you should. You said like there's only a sliver of health on the enemies when you use your Real Mocha. So I say if you just have a little bit more attack and a little bit better roll on the third passive effect on your count on your Real Mocha,
yes,
you're going to be able to one-tap that. Your runs will become way smoother, way more consistent, and then you'll be able to farm Doki Doki, and then from the speed you get there, continue on.
Of advice. Yeah, the difficulty is, man, just the quickest tangent ever. Shell farming is obviously it's like the whole game, but it's so frustrating. Like the amount of Inferno Nico Non I've done at this point, and to be so limited. And then it feels very frustrating to go back and to farm a non-Inferno stage. But yeah, it could maybe just go here and roll for that red overclocking or the red Blade of Hollow, that kind of thing. Is that kind of more what you're saying? Just that last little bit of oomph to push you over the edge?
Exactly. And once you get that going, I think the Doki Doki, once you have that going for you, then you can, from all the speed you get from there, start into more and more of the harder PvE stages. And then once you're set, go into the PvP with your pre-built the units.
Yeah, I think that's honestly a really good idea, because you're right. Like, to me, this was a very well-rolled shell. I spent a lot on it, but I am still a little short, and there is still room for improvement, right?
This Revelation is to this day probably still my best rolled shell. I just needed that to get my Doki farming going, and once you have that, you'll be able to snowball from there.
I think that's a good point. Yeah, and these are kind of unfortunate sets as well. I think this is probably the other particularly strong one I have, and this one works a lot better for me because it's got the momentum and the fury as opposed to the keen eye and the onslaught. I think that's a really good tip. It's an annoying thing to hear, but it's 100% right. You know, it's like, all right, time to do some more reconfig, right?
Yeah, it's like you said, it's a bit annoying at the beginning, but it's something you kind of need to get done.
A necessary evil. Yeah, if it's gonna push you over the edge. I like that a lot. So to zoom out now and just talk specifically about PvP. Actually, very quickly before you do, the final thing is, so obviously we just had this 2x weekend. So for the next 3.5 weeks, probably at a minimum, it's a suboptimal time to farm thresholds. What would you advise a player, a viewer, someone starting to change their focus to PvE with regard to threshold farming outside of these 2x's? Because if you just keep waiting and waiting and waiting, as I've done for too long at this point, you're just going to be immobilized forever. So how do you prioritize? You're obviously a lot further along in your experience with this kind of farming. How do you prioritize when it's just you just have to farm thresholds? Who cares that there's no blessings galore? And when you're willing to wait?
I don't really have a method for this, but I think you get a feel for it. At the beginning, you just want to get a few shells ready. A few keys shells ready, and most of them only need the second substat to be decent speed. And you need that 1 or 2 good DPS shells. And then you look into farming some threshold, even if it's not 2x. Once you have your core builds ready, farm some threshold, and then mainly just focus on the shells from there on out once you have a little bit of sets ready for it.
So would you say all your time outside of the 2x right now is spent for shell farming?
No, not at all. But that said, I have to now do some catch up in terms of the shell farming, as I was farming quite a lot of Aurora before the 2x already. But within the last few weeks, I definitely went in and farmed some shell farming, did some shell farming again. You just gotta find your balance.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the more general tip. It's like, yes, try to farm when it's optimal, but if you just only do that, it's 2 days a month is not gonna cut it, right?
Yes, 100%. You're not. And even if you have, let's say, a lot of threshold farming done, and you're like, okay, I don't need to farm that much threshold, but I have all these stabilizers on the 2x. It's never going to hurt to put in a bunch of your stamina into the GP outpost either. Like at my first 2x especially, I dumped so much into my GP outpost I was like, oh man, this is so much, but I didn't have a fast team for any of the thresholds, so I was just getting it out on the GP outpost. And I was like, oh no, I have so much GP outpost. I felt bad for it, but every single 2x, I still had to go back to the GP outpost, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I feel you. This because I was so pressed for time, I mostly just farmed GP outpost and a little investigation this past 2x, just because I wasn't able to focus in on the Doki Doki. And yeah, since the last one, I ran out of everything. So it happens faster than you think, right? Faster than you expect.
Certainly.
All right, let's take that next step now and talk about characters. I'll just say right out of the gate, for me, I'm thinking the Bruiser team. We also talked a bit about this off camera. I'm lucky to have Holden and to have some lattices to use. Obviously, I'm missing 2 key skills here in a pretty major way. Oh my God, with the S1 and the S2. I think that's probably, and please give your thoughts, but I think some kind of willing to go second team is going to be my better approach, because obviously I just don't think I'll be able to compete in any reasonable level with the speed that I have. Would you concur with this, that this is the way to get after it?
Yeah, that's the same way I was thinking when I approached this game as well. You're just not, I mean, you get a lot of stamina, but at the moment, if you are fighting a speed demon, you're going to be in a rough spot. And turn 2 is just easier for someone who's not just spending extreme amounts of money or just has the time to full stamina reset everything every day. And at the moment, it's stronger than turn 1 anyways.
Yeah, it's a good current meta to pursue this route, right? So if we're going down there, right, and let's say we have to build 7 units or make sure 7 units are built, because obviously we have a couple things built. How would you prioritize and what would you key in on here?
First up, I think from your roster specifically, the most important unit is going to be Ling Luo.
Yeah.
Because, and then you also will need some other healers. Yeah, you also want that maxed out for sure, especially for Aurora farming as well, and for all of the PvE. Yeah. You want the Ling Luo S1 maxed out, max skill up. Then the Sonya is going to be another one of these that you, if you want to play turn 2, you need multiple healers.
For sure.
Because otherwise it's just too easy for your opponent to just take away your healers. Let's say he takes 2 healers and then just bans your other healer and he's like, all right, try me, right? So you definitely need these units, especially the Sonya makes your team kind of immortal. And then the Fushu as well. I would also focus on her. So Sonya and Fushu would be definitely some to consider here at the moment.
So yeah, I think very well said. Obvious 6 stars, right? If your whole plan is to go second and tank it out and be the Bruiser team, you need some support, you need some healing. And if you only have the 2, they can pick one and ban the other and you're screwed, right? So you basically need 3 built for this kind of thing, right?
Yeah, eventually even more. I've built my red jockey, but you can't just build everything. You also need some DPS at the moment, right? And this is where we're going to be the Holden, super important for you. I think he's the most versatile.
So Holden and Ling Luo, I just like a couple days ago 6-starred over the weekend. Ling Luo, Holden's been 6-star for a while. We'll discuss their skills later. These 2 for sure, I completely agree. I had Fushu next on my list, and Sonya was going to be in the near future, but she can be top priority along with Fushu if she must be. Anyone else you think are kind of musts? I mean, we said Viper potentially can wait a bit.
Do you have Lilium? Not right?
No, but I'm hoping to maybe at least have a shot to get lucky. I've been saving up. If we go over here, oh my God, I'm blind. There we go. I got 12. I also, if I need, I've got some crystals. So, you know, it's a grindy, tough life, but I'm hopefully I'm going to do a little Ember Trek, little Ethernet rally in the next week. I'm also going to do this event. So hopefully tomorrow when I'm flying back home across the country, I'm still in New York right now on the East Coast. I think once I sit down and just do a little Ember Trek or do a little Ethernet rally, I'll get the remaining 15. And who knows what's going to happen in those 100. I even have a little bit built up right now, so I'm guaranteed to hit 2. So, you know, maybe we get Lilium that way, right?
Maybe. The Lilium is definitely tearing up the meta at the moment since the buffs.
Who could have guessed it?
Yeah, she's a menace at the moment here. So if you ever just build her up, you're not going to regret it, especially now that she's in a PvE as well, a demon. Then in terms of the other DPS, you have the Rahu I've seen. Do you have a Tiamat as well?
Yes, I have Rahu at 0 and then Tiamat at P1, but they're both wholly unbuilt right now. I think they're both phenomenal choices. We kind of talked about this for a minute too. My issue is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I have 12 perfect lattices right now. Once I do a little bit more farming, I think I'll get about 2 more halfway through this week or something with where I'm at with certain content. But like, I think no brainer, I have to max these 2 skills, right?
Yeah, the first one you need
And
to
then
max is the
Lingluo's
Ling
at,
Luo.
yeah. So that's where I was going to head with it. So if we've got Lingluo S1, and then I was thinking after that would be Holden this. I mean, we could even do Lingluo together right now if you want. I know you're the biggest proponent of the Lingluo S1. That's already all 12, right? If we were to do that.
Yes, so then a Mizuki Makoto would be another one. She's
Yeah, I'm
another
looking
good
for it.
bruiser that you can draft into a Tiamat player specifically. Works well in there. Especially since you're short on the Lattice side, she's gonna help you, perform without having to invest in too many gold Lattices. And the next up, I would say, is gonna be the Tiamat over the Rahu.
Do you want to explain your thinking on that?
I personally am a big Rahu enthusiast, but I believe Tiamat works better without Lattice
Got it.
than the Rahu.
So here's something. Like, could a potential approach be, can build Tiamat now because we don't need the Lattice, and we can 6-star her now, and then once we start having the Lattice, we can start putting that into Rahu and then build him up.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so
By the time you have the Lattices, you will have enough to build both to 6 stars anyways.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, we can easily do 4 6-stars now, so that's a pretty cool spot to be in if we're at these 3. We'll go further into that in one moment, but do you agree that with the current 12 Lattices, it should go Lingluo S1 and then Holden S1, S2?
Have to take a look at who you're using in your PvE teams, but the Lingluo is definitely necessary anyways, even for PvE. And in terms of PvP, the Holden is going to be your best bet in terms of your Lattices from your current roster. Unless you get the Lilium, I think Lilium is going to be better for you then, because she's just super good for the PvE as well.
Yeah, I think that's a great shout. So I think the Lingluo, maybe at the end of this video, we can get that S1 already done, but maybe hold off on Holden at least until I've done a handful of pulls to see if we hit that Lilium.
100%, yeah.
Okay, so I think we've covered a lot. I really appreciate your time, Ronaldo. I think you've certainly shown to the viewers you're an expert on this stuff. I think the way to wrap up is just to talk a little bit about drafting. Especially at my level, I think, where I'm a little bit strapped with this free-to-play life and who we have. I can't build up 15 perfect units with perfect gear. It's completely delusional. So what do you think? It's 7, it's 8, and maybe where should we be focusing those? I mean, we've got a nice 5 here. We've got Rahu and Mizuki as potential options for further down the line. But just to fill this out and add a bit, what are you thinking? Like a Freya is someone? I mean, this would just be, we could just call it like rest of the roster or something.
Rest of the roster, I think the Viper.
So he would have to be a 6-star, but you think he slots in nicely?
Yes. And Sonya for sure. I mean, the Sonya was at the top, actually, in front of the Viper. The Viper, as he's also good for PvE as well. And then Freya you kinda can use, but I wouldn't really use her unless you're if you have a very strong build on her, or if you plan to play more aggressive. In terms of the other units, I think you have a good roster from that, and then you just need to focus on basically picking the Holden first if you can, and then look into getting a healer, at least one healer, if not possibly both of them, instantly in your draft as well.
What do you think about someone like Valerian, getting her to 6-star? Just like if I need that 5th spot filled when I'm drafting, that's something I had in the back of my mind. Another option would just be if I had one fast build and that was on Kazuyo, just in case I thought I could cut in there, and she could get some control out. Is that a good alt strategy? Because something that I get worried with is just, if they pick enough of the people I wanted to pick, then I've run out of 5 units that I actually want to bring to the battle, right?
For sure, yeah. The Kazuya is a very good unit that you can especially draft later in the draft if your opponent doesn't just drop in any anti-CC units. They're gonna be she can basically solo control an entire team with a few supports here and there. Yeah, the Mizuki is gonna be another one, of course. The Rahu is gonna come eventually. If Valerian, at the beginning she'll work.
By the time we outgrow her, we should have stuff to build up some of the other ones, we think?
She can kind of work, but at the same time I haven't picked her once this season. I've picked her a few times last season, but this season, ever since I built up my other healers, I just resorted back to them over her.
Yeah, very fair. Okay, I think it gives a lot of direction, right? So to recap, Actually, the final thing is just with skill ups. I just want to talk priority. So Sonya versus Viper. I have 10 of these right now. Obviously, these are easier to come by, so this won't be the most pressing thing. We'll have enough soon enough. But Sonya has no skill ups. Viper has everything maxed except for, especially for PvP, the very important S2. So do you think that's the top priority, then go to Sonya, or focus a skill or two on Sonya, then go to Viper?
I think you should focus on the Viper first, just simply for the PvE purposes.
Gotcha.
And then focus onto the Sonya S1 specifically for the turn meter push. And then slowly fill up your Sonya and then go into the Mizuki as well.
So you think Mizuki before Rahu, or unless we get some crazy perfect lattices coming in, just already focus her?
Yeah, unless you get a lot of lattices out of nowhere, yes.
Perfect. All right, well, we just got the Viper one done. We can put a little further down here. We'll bump up Mizuki. Then we'll go a little further down here. We'll put in Rahu. I know this is a little sloppy, but maybe it'll allow people to visualize. And then here we can put Sonya. And it's kind of all, but for now, we're going to do the S1 priority. This is very helpful, Ronaldo. I really appreciate you taking the time. Obviously, to me personally, this gives me a lot of direction, but I hope also, you know, the general lessons and the approach we've kind of taken here from you, people can find a way to apply it to their own account and their own progression and, you know, their own focusing on PvP, because I think it is a daunting task, especially when you see some of the teams and builds out there, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it's ever evolving. New builds are coming, especially now with Viper as well, seeing some new builds. And Tiamat has a few different builds running around as well. Some cheesy builds I've seen, but it's flexible, and it's what makes them the most fun, in my opinion, in this game at the moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time, man. And like I said, you really are an expert on this stuff, and you've got my favorite content right now for PvP. Some really cool commentary stuff, really cool guides, breakdowns. Everyone definitely has to go check out your channel, Ronnie Plays. Link will be in the description and the top pinned comment. Also in the description and the top pinned comments, if you're not yet playing Etheria, we've got a link there. Be sure to use that if you want to start playing. Trust us, it's worth it. It's a load of fun. I've been Fastidious. This has been Ronnie, and we'll see you guys real soon. Bye.
Take care.
Fastidious.